So, what's the secret to living past 100? It's a question we've all asked, right? For centuries, the answers were mostly just, well, old wives' tales and common sense. But now, scientists are finally starting to peel back the layers, uncovering the real secrets hidden deep inside our own DNA and our life stories. Okay, let's get into it.
First, I want you to meet Salvatore Caruso. When researchers found him, he was 106 years old, just chilling by a fire, reading an article about the end of the world. So they ask him, "What's your secret?" And he gives them this answer: no tobacco, no drinking, and no women. It's a fantastic piece of folk wisdom for sure. But, it does make you ask,
I mean, come on. Is the secret to a super long life really just about saying no to everything fun? Or is there something deeper going on, something we can't see? Well, that's exactly what scientists set out to discover.
To find some answers, their journey took them to the rugged hills of Calabria in southern Italy. Why there? Because this region has a frankly shocking number of people who have lived incredibly long lives.
They zeroed in on this tiny village, Malocchio, with only about 2,000 people. And get this, in that small population, they found 4 people over the age of 100 and another 4 who were 99. Just wow. And when they talked to them, the story was always the same. They lived a simple, frugal life. They ate what they called a little bit of everything, which, let's be honest, just meant they ate whatever they could get their hands on, mostly figs, beans, and veggies.
Now, for decades, this diet thing, it seemed like the perfect answer. It fits so neatly with a big scientific theory about longevity, a theory that, as it turns out, is now starting to completely fall apart.
That theory is called caloric restriction. The idea is pretty simple. If you eat a lot less, your body kind of goes into this low-power survival mode that stretches out its lifespan. And for the people of Calabria back in the early 20th century, living in extreme poverty, eating very little, well, it wasn't a lifestyle choice, it was just life. It all seemed to add up.
But here's the twist. Big, recent studies, including a massive 25-year experiment on monkeys, have basically failed to show that caloric restriction consistently leads to a longer life. The science was all over the place. It was becoming pretty clear that diet alone was not the whole story. So researchers had to look somewhere else entirely.
And that somewhere else wasn't about what these people ate, but about who they were. The focus shifted from their dinner plates to their DNA, all thanks to an amazing historical resource that was just sitting there, waiting to be found.
The key, it turns out, was hidden away in these beautiful, dusty old books. See, after Italy became a unified country in the 1860s, the government started keeping these incredibly detailed records of every single citizen. Births, marriages, deaths, you name it. For modern geneticists, these ledgers were an absolute goldmine. The way the researchers used these records was just brilliant. First, they built these massive family trees for over 200 people who lived past 90. Then, they found all their brothers and sisters. But here's the crucial part. They compared how long the siblings lived to how long their spouses lived, the people they married and shared a home with. And that's what made this a perfect natural experiment. The siblings and their spouses, they lived under the same roof. They ate the exact same simple food, breathed the same air, shared the same environment. The one critical thing they didn't share? Their genes. This was it. This was the chance to finally untangle genetics from lifestyle.
So, what did they find? Well, it was fascinating, it was complicated, and it was packed with paradoxes. It definitely wasn't some simple story about good genes automatically giving you a long life.
For example, check out this puzzle. We all know that, statistically, women are way more likely to hit the 100-year mark than men. But the data from Calabria suggested something totally counterintuitive. The genetic boost for a long life actually seems to be stronger in men. It's like women are better at using external factors like healthcare and diet to their advantage, while for men, the genetic lottery plays a much bigger role. Wild, right?
So how much does it all matter? At the end of the day, after all this work, the scientists figured that genes probably only account for about 25% of what determines your lifespan. A full 75% comes down to a mix of your environment, your lifestyle choices, and other factors, including one we almost always forget about.
But hey, that 25% from genes is still a huge deal.
Researchers were able to pinpoint specific genetic pathways these centenarians had in common. Things like genes that made them actually enjoy healthy bitter foods, like broccoli, and helped their bodies squeeze every last nutrient out of their food. They also found gene versions linked to a more efficient, revved-up metabolism and a better way of dealing with stress at the cellular level.
So, if it's not just your diet and it's not just your genes, what's the big takeaway here? Well, it seems the real answer is a little more complicated and maybe just a little more freeing.
There is no magic bullet. There's no one perfect gene to find or one perfect diet to follow. The secret, as far as we can tell, is this complex cocktail of three things: the genes you're born with, the world you live in, and that totally unpredictable wild card, pure random chance. Or, luck.
And that brings us right back to our 106-year-old friend, Salvador Caruso. He told the researchers that back in 1925 he fell and broke his leg. Because of that injury, he couldn't serve in the military. Years later, his entire former army unit was sent to fight on the Russian front in World War II. Not a single man came home. A moment of terrible luck, a broken leg, turned out to be the single greatest piece of good luck in his entire long life.
And really, that's the ultimate humbling lesson here. We can watch what we eat, we can try to stay active, and maybe one day science will give us pills to tweak our genes. But as we all search for a long and healthy life, it's worth remembering just how much of our story is completely out of our control, written by nothing more than moments of pure, unpredictable chance. Makes you think, doesn't it?